I tune into my own intuition. I answer your questions, especially if you're in a position of leadership. Today's episode is for you. This is really pertinent. So if you landed here, assume that there is something in this episode for you. And although this is a general intuitive reading meant for educational and entertainment purposes only, that's what my lawyers told me I have to say. There is an overall message that is coming through for a lot of you that are in any kind of position of leadership. So please stay tuned. I also take this opportunity. People write questions. You're welcome to write your question in and I will answer it. You can write to dearsiddiqui@gmail.com. It's right below. And this is my gift to you. I get a lot of calls from people in leadership positions, from people in the industry of coaching, consulting in corporate America, wanting to have some of these questions asked. Sometimes they're too embarrassed to ask them under their regular name. No problem. I can answer them anonymously, as you will see today. And it's not always just about business. A lot of times it's about personal relationships. It's about health decisions. And so keep in mind that this is a general reading. I'm responding with my own intuition, with my own abilities to reach into the Spideyverse and get some answers from a higher place of knowledge, of wisdom, and I'm giving them to you as a gift. If you're watching this, please subscribe on whatever channel that you are watching this on. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe. If you're on LinkedIn, please connect. If you're on Facebook, also please friend me. And it would be really helpful if you would comment. Let me know if this is relevant to you, if you have any comments on anything that's in here, and if this is really helpful, or if you can think of someone that the answers to today's questions will be helpful for, please pass it on, share it with a friend, share it with a colleague, share it with a loved one, because these are meant to be informative, helpful, and to reinforce your own intuitive guidance. And at the end, I'm going to talk a little bit about how I use my intuition and give you an opportunity to tune into something free and live that will help you to trust your intuition more in 2023. We always start with a general message. And the message that just keeps coming through again and again is that this is the year of the rise of intuition in business. I call it functional woo. So this is the year where, especially if you are a leader, you are going to need to make faster decisions, better, with more accuracy. And the way you do that is you learn to trust that gut instinct that you have and then follow it up with some logic and some decision making, but you always know what you know. And I'm here to tell you that 2023 is the year that when you don't listen to that deeper sense of knowing, that maybe you don't know, how do I know this? I'm here to help you with that. But this is the year where you really need to clear away the fog, the cloud, and stop asking yourself, how do I know this? And start listening and saying, what is in this information that is relevant, and learning to trust it. So this is the year to start paying attention. While everyone else is in panic mode, you have the opportunity to go to a resourceful state to make decisions which lead to a state of resilience versus reactivity. And the way you do that is you pay attention to your intuition. So I am going to start right in with the first question, which is, how do I get a job? That was the question. So it sounds something like this. Dear Siddiqui, I've been in and out of the corporate world most of my adult life. For the past 10 years, I've been focused on making a go of it as an entrepreneur. I've invested well over $150,000 in getting help with being a business owner, but I'm still not making enough money to get by. At this point, I'm in my mid-50s and now need to look at going back to a corporate job. How do I get a job that isn't soul sucking? Thank you for your help. And that is from Pulling My Hair Out in Texas. So this is a great question. There's a lot of us that have been entrepreneurs for the past 10 years. Certainly, There was a wave during COVID of people that were jumping into the coaching, consulting market thinking, I don't want to be in corporate America anymore. Those of us that have been around for a while in the consulting world know that there's now a glut in the marketplace of life coaches and people that wanted to find their purpose. They wanted to find their mission. They felt like they weren't doing it in corporate America, so they left. And if you've been at this a long time, you know that it's like the stock market. There's rises and there's dips in the industry. And if you're not making a living and you've invested a lot of money, then you might be asking yourself, should I really stick with it? So as I meditated on this question, as I tuned in, the first thing that came to me is there's no black and white. There's no either you do this or you do this. They're actually open yourself up to tearing your hair out in Texas. Open yourself up to the possibility that you could do both, that you could take on a job, a job job that has something to do with your skill set, or maybe it's something to just get you away from your computer and out in front of people interacting, if that's what you love to do. We've all been sequestered for a really long time, and we're slowly coming back to face, but so many people, even in corporate, are still working from their homes. You call someone on a call center and they are at their home. You can hear the dog barking, the baby crying in the background. And you know that a lot of people in corporate jobs are still sitting behind a computer in their pajamas at home working, and that may or may not be effective for you. So if you're not making the living that you need to because you're not getting the clients, we've all been there. You've invested a lot. It's like your education. You've invested a lot in the education of being an entrepreneur. And now you still have skills that are useful in the marketplace, but sometimes being in business for yourself is a really uphill battle. So, like I do many times on the show, I'm going to share a story from yours truly. So I've been in the coaching industry since 2008. I've owned my own business for 30 years. I too have been in and out of corporate America. I love the corporate jobs that I've had, but ultimately they felt too confining and too constricting. So the middle ground is that I went and I got a job at a really high-end fitness center, teaching yoga, teaching spinning. It had nothing to do with my career as a professional, but I had a lot of training and I thought, oh, it's a hobby and I'll go get a job doing it. So here's the great thing about job jobs is that they can take the edge off the panic of how am I going to pay rent? How am I going to have money, for food on the table? How am I going to put gas in my car? They take the edge and the desperation out of it. And as many of us know, desperation does not lead to good decision making a lot of times. And so using your intuition, using your gut instincts, like what is the first go-to job that you're like, oh, I could do that and still do what I love, still have my own business, but do a 50-50 split or something like that, 75-25. So here's what happened for me. I got a job as a yoga instructor, which is by no means a 6-figure income or even leading to a 7-figure income, unless, you're Richard Simmons. And so what happened is, as a result of that job job, I got connected with some very, very high-end leadership people. I made some great connections. I went on to work for some of the Kennedy family as a result of being a yoga instructor. And I actually, I led a 6-figure retreat here in New Zealand with my husband, Justin, based on the people that I met at my yoga job, my spinning. And so I want you to know that there's not a complete separation of a job and what you love to do, that sometimes you're at that job so that you can meet people that you would never meet in the way you've been marketing yourself. And so please, please, please open yourself up to 2 possibilities. One, it doesn't have to be such a struggle. You're not being punished as an entrepreneur, as a consultant, that it's not working. It's not necessarily you. And do yourself a favor, take the edge off the stress of trying to get all your income from your own business. Some of us do need to go out and get a supplemental income. You've got skills. There are companies that need your skills. Can you do it part-time? Doesn't need to be all or nothing. When you get some of that edge taken off of putting food on the table, paying the mortgage, paying the rent, you have more creative energy. You have more resourcefulness. And from that state of resourcefulness, opportunities come to you. So be open to the possibility that you can use your intuition to find a place to go part of the time to support yourself, but also open yourself up to more possibilities, get more interaction face to face going. And that is really a game changer for many of us. I hope this helps. Please don't see it as a failure that you're considering doing a job job, and also understand that a lot of corporations are hiring part-time, at-home employees or part-time in-person. And there's a lot of opportunities out there. There's more opportunities than there's ever been. I'm talking to you directly if you ask this question. So just know that the opportunities are out there. And this year, our word of the year is participation. So we're participating in all those opportunities. We're getting out of our own way. We're letting the universe, we're letting those opportunities come to us. And sometimes it's not a tit for tat. It's not a, I'm doing this and I get this outcome. It's a, I'm going here because I'm called to go here. And out of the blue, out of nowhere, like a miracle, so surprising, these things get presented to us in the most unlikely places. And so it's a 2-for-1 prize for you. Pulling your hair out in Texas, you can go get a job. Don't see it as a failure. Maybe it's not a full-time thing, but it's going to lead to opportunities that you're not going to get sitting there behind the computer on Zoom all day, every day, trying to make it work. Take the edge off and open yourself up to more opportunities. It's not a death sentence. Getting a job doesn't mean you're going to have to do it forever, but it will give you some of the stability that you've been looking for, that you've been lacking. And I know I've done it for decades in my career. I love it. I love the structure of having an external job job for part of the time. And again, you don't have to go all into the corporate career that just eats you alive, that doesn't give you the freedom of expression that you want, which is why you left. You can have the best of both worlds. You just have to be mindful about what you're choosing and why you're going into it. So I hope that that was helpful. Deep breath. On a completely separate subject is, what is love? That's my next question. What is love? So dear Siddiqi, I'm in the middle of a separation and on my way to a divorce. So sorry to hear that. This is the 3rd time I've been married. Obviously, I know that I'm the common denominator in all my relationships and that my picker is broken. You said it, I didn't. I've been working on myself with various modalities, therapy, groups, EFT, etc. for years, and nothing has significantly changed. I'm really beginning to feel lost in love and hopeless. Recently, one of my friends asked me if I understood what love really is. Can you please explain from your intuitive perspective, what is love? From Broken Hearted Betty in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Broken Hearted Betty, what is love? I love this. So let me just, as your friend, Siddiqi means the friend that tells the truth. Let me just separate out the issues. So who you be in relationships is about your communication. It's about your behavior. It's about your beliefs, which is over here. And love is a state of being over here. So broken-hearted Betty, my question for you is, how much do you love yourself? How in love with your life are you? How in love with yourself are you? I'm not talking about narcissism. I'm talking about appreciation. And so when we go from people, places, situations, circumstances, whether it be from a job, my picker is broken with jobs. My picker is broken in relationships. You're judging yourself as not capable. And underneath that, the energy is, I'm not lovable. I'm not capable of choosing what's right for me. And I'm making these decisions from a place of trying to figure out what's wrong with me. If you're going here, there, and everywhere to try to fix it with all these different modalities, you're coming from a place of There's something broken. There's something wrong, and I have to work hard to fix it. Take a deep breath, brokenhearted Betty. Love is not work. Communication and relationships do take mindfulness. They do take practice. The unconscious, subconscious behaviors we have that drive us to keep acting in the same way in relationships, whether it's, entitled and outraged or righteous, or a victim and disempowered and feeling powerless, whatever extreme you're in, when you're like, oh, this relationship doesn't work, my picker is broken, you're making it about the other person. And it's really not. You actually alluded to that. It's not about the other person. It's about you. And so, brokenhearted Betty, before you go out and get yourself in another relationship or on another dating site, or hopeful that this time this is the one, you know what? There is no one. There is no one that can help you love yourself more if you're coming from a place of brokenness, of I need to be fixed, and I need someone to love me enough to affirm that I'm fixable, that I'm not broken, that I am enough. So this is the calling of this question of what is love. It's a great question. And I want you to think of it as like you have a board in front of you. What is, and then a blank, love? What is self-love? What is self-love? Fill in the blank. What is self-love? What is, communication love? What is commitment love? What is love for your calling in life? What is love? What is the experience of it? When do you feel it? When have you experienced it? And most importantly, brokenhearted Betty, when have you experienced it for yourself? How do you know when you're in a state of self-love? How do you know when you're in a state of appreciation for who you are, for the fact that you're resilient in love, that you go out and you try again and again to have this experience of love, of being in love? Being in love is being in a state of realizing that you are connected to love. That is what being in love is. So what is love? I don't know what love is to you. To me, love is acceptance of everything that is. Love is not allowing that voice of self-doubt and criticism to take me out of connection with myself and with others. So what is love? Love is a state of connection. Love is a state of appreciation. Love is a state of acceptance. And when you when you get into that state of deep appreciation, brokenhearted Betty, with yourself for the decisions you've made, not from a place of judgment, but from a place of I love myself even though I find myself in this situation again and again. How can I pull back from the self-recrimination and instead recommit to loving myself even more deeply? Because that, my friend, when you can be present to your own hurt, and let's distinguish that hurt and brokenness are two separate things. When you can be in a state of love and appreciation and acceptance for the very fact that you're 3 marriages in and you still have hope, apply that hope, apply that appreciation to yourself. I'm not hopeless. I'm not hopelessly broken. I'm not in a perpetual state of not enoughness. I am enough. I am lovable. I do have hope for myself that I can go into a deeper state of appreciation of who I am versus looking at what's wrong and what needs to be fixed. Brokenhearted Betty, I hope that helps. Love Minneapolis. What's up, Minneapolis? Used to live there for many, many years, and I'm sending you so much love. Hey, if this was helpful, pass it on to a friend, share it, comment below. I would love to hear your comments. They help the algorithm. They help more people see it. Please, please, please join me. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe. And if you have your own questions, write them to dearsiddiqui@gmail.com. That address is below. I know Siddiqi, who knows how to spell that? And if you're interested in learning how to harness your intuition for better, quicker, more effective decisions in 2023, I'm going to tell you how I did it. I'm going to do a free webinar. It's or mini course or mastermind, or whatever you want to call it, February 2nd. It is going to be at the same time. And I'm going to be starting a series of free masterclasses about how to apply your intuition at your job, at work, in your life, in your relationships, so that you can really start to practice this muscle. I'm calling intuition a muscle. It's not some woo out there thing. It's very functional. It's a very innate part of being a human being, or being an animal for that matter, is using our intuition to make better decisions. If you want to know how that has worked for me and how it has played out in my career, I would love to share that with you. So February 2nd, I'm going to put the link below to join. It's free, 90 minutes. I'm going to be talking to you about how I use it in my photography, how I've used my intuition in my photography career to boost the results that I've gotten from my clients, hoping that you can get something from it, hoping that you join us. Again, it's free. The link is below. Thank you so much for joining us here on Dear Siddiqi, and I look forward to seeing your questions and your comments. Once again, it's dearsiddiqui@gmail.com.